What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Coming at you with yet again another perfume experience and continuing with the sampler theme and returning to a favorite of this channel. I know that most of you started joining because of the artisanal perfume experience uploads. So today I will be bringing to you an artisanal sampler, and I'm gonna be very careful with this because I haven't used it. I just opened the bottle to smell it. But for today we have Ensar Oud Pure Perfume EO2 Tibet, and this is what we're looking at here, as you guys can see, hopefully. And in terms of the juice color, so this is the Pure Perfume iteration, and as you can see, it's pretty ambery, yellowish ambery. Okay, so before we get started, we're gonna go over the notes. I won't go over the Ensar Oud musing just because his are very long and I want to spare you guys the pain of having to go through that very long musing. However, I'm sure that if you go to the Ensar Oud website, you can read about it over there. However, for the purposes of this upload, I will be going over the notes, then we're gonna experience the perfume together, and as per tradition on this channel, please feel free to grab yourself a copy. Please feel free to grab yourself a cup of coffee or your favorite beverage. I am recording this late in the evening, so I will not be grabbing coffee at the moment. So go ahead, pause the video, grab your favorite beverage or coffee, and let's get started with this. Okay, so we have the Ensar Oud 2 Tibet Pure Perfume. Okay, in terms of the top note, we have coriander, Sichuan pepper, pink pepper, cumin, and cedar. In the heart, we have helichrysum, I think that's how it's pronounced, blackcurrant, jasmine sambac, rose otto, and black tea. In the base, there's Tibetan musk, wild kepi agarwood, sandalwood, castoreum, and beeswax. Okay, so as you guys can see, there's a lot going on in here in terms of ingredients. And everything here, as per usual with Ensar Oud, is natural. Now, what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna take an initial whiff, then I will do a swipe. This will be the first swipe ever. Now, keep in mind that this is the Pure Perfume. However, they've provided it in a swipe sampler bottle. So I don't know how that's gonna work because the perfume isn't as thick as a pure oil. So here we go. I'm just gonna gently and carefully open this because I'll be pissed at myself if I spill it, and this is very fluid. Okay, so that's all I have of this. Okay, first impression is wow. It's resinous, it's honey-like, it's animalic, smells a bit like a green forest, Pacific Northwest in particular, because I've been there. It has this antiseptic, mentholy, fresh touch to it. Wow, is all I can say. I have been very reluctant to pull the trigger on the Ensar Ouds, the different iterations, just because I wasn't too sure about them. I've read some reviews and the reviews were very divided. People either really like them or they really hate them. So the EO1, EO2, EO3, and now there's an EO4. So they seem to be very polarizing, and it's one of the reasons why I haven't pulled the trigger on any of them. But I'll be honest with you guys, I wish I pulled the trigger on the EO2 Tibet during the discounts when they had Boxing Day and Black Friday. I might actually get this. Wow. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and try to swipe this. Pray for me because I am very clumsy and this will not end good, knowing my history. Okay. Right. By the way, for your reference, this is the first time I am applying this to my skin. So you guys are getting the unadulterated real reaction. None of this is scripted. So we'll see how it goes. Now, granted, because there's only little, and like I said, this is perfume, so it's much more fluid compared to the pure oils. So I'm not able to get a lot of it on my skin. So unfortunately, I will not be showing you guys what it looks like on the skin because it's not leaving much of a residue. But I can definitely smell it, and wow. So this is a very typical Ensar Oud DNA. I have quite a bit of Ensar's formulations that have Tibetan musk in them. And one of the qualities of Tibetan musk, and this is also described on Ensar Oud's website, and I do agree with him, is that it has this chocolate truffle facet to its scent, mixed in with a very warm animalic, and it's not overly musky. You don't get any urinal qualities in here or indolic qualities per se, but it's definitely got that animalic touch. And this one is very masculine smelling to me. It has a touch of spiciness to it. It does smell like man musk, which if you're a guy out there, you're familiar with what that is like, especially if your man musk is more on the spicy side. There's quite a bit of spices in here, and I also get a touch of cloviness and sandalwood. So let's see, coriander and Szechuan pepper and pink pepper and cumin. So that's the touch of spiciness in there, okay? The coriander on the opening, guys, gives a bit of this touch of freshness, okay? Coriander is also, for those of you that don't know, is known also as cilantro, right? So you typically have it with Mexican food, or some people actually have a gene that makes them taste coriander slash cilantro as soap. So that's what coriander is cilantro also. And it gives a touch of freshness on the opening, which I really like. Then a lot of that mentholy sort of touch on the opening, I'm gonna say is probably also a function of the coriander, the Szechuan pepper, and the pink pepper. Now, if you've ever had Szechuan pepper on its own, it's actually not the full pepper, it's the berry husk, and it's typically dehydrated, and it's used in Szechuan cooking, so Chinese cooking. And what it does is it does give heat, but that's not the major effect of it. What it does is it gives this spicy numbness that has a touch of freshness to it. So this is gonna contribute to the mentholy feel in here. There's pink pepper also, which adds to that peppery touch to the perfume. Cumin. Yes, there is cumin in here and it is prominent, but it's not a spicy powdery cumin. It's kind of like a whole seed cumin, and it adds a bit of touch of this sweatiness in here, which really complements the musk in this. Okay, in terms of the heart, helichrysum, I'm not sure what that is. However, blackcurrant. Again, there is a fruity touch in here, but it's so subtle you can barely pick on it. Jasmine sambac. There is floral in here, yes. Rose otto. Yes, there is. Black tea. Yes, this is definitely black tea heavy. And if you look at Ensar's work, he tends to use a lot of black tea and black pepper on formulations in his own Privé line or perfumes that were in his original collection. So they tend to be spice and black tea heavy, which frankly, I will say this, I think is one of the best when it comes to doing tea notes in his perfumes. I've had tea notes from other houses like, let's say, Xershoff. While it's not bad, it's not my favorite. This here is like a straight up black tea. Meanwhile, in Xershoff, it's like black tea, milk black tea. So it's a bit different, okay? Base, Tibetan musk. Yes, you get this chocolate, truffly, gooey, animalic, warm, soothing, enticing, sensual musk in here. Wild KP agarwood, never smelt that, so I cannot speak to it. Sandalwood, yes, you get this creamy, soft, skin-like scent, super calming, super relaxing. Castoreum, this one is a bit tough. I can't quite pick on it, but if you've ever smelled castoreum, it's really nice, okay? Castoreum comes from beavers, and it's a kind of musk also, just like deer musk or like civet. So it adds a very nice, creamy skin scent quality to scents. And last but not least is beeswax. And yes, there is a waxy facet to this, okay? So that's it for the notes. Now, in terms of how would you enjoy this perfume, okay? This perfume is definitely masculine leaning. Ladies can enjoy it too. It's not that you can't, but I think just because of the heavy peppery top, this is more masculine leaning. Peppery scents, generally speaking, tend to be more masculine oriented. So I'm gonna say this is more masculine leaning, but ladies, don't shy away from it. You can also enjoy it. In terms of what sort of environment or context you would wear this, and I'm gonna go ahead and say again, Ensar Oud and artisanals, generally speaking, tend to follow an old school / style of perfumery, typically Japanese, Chinese, Indian, or old French perfumery styles. And with this one, it's perfect for being in a meditative state or relaxing, okay? Or prayers. And this is a function of the sandalwood, the musk, the castoreum, and just the peppers and spices and the teas in there. It's really good for that. If you want to relax, if you want to meditate, if you want to go on a prayer, this is a good perfume to have on as an accompaniment to your, pursuit, whatever it is you're doing in terms of the three aforementioned. But it's not really a perfume where you're gonna go out clubbing, partying. It's not a perfume for the office. I mean, you can wear it, but not really where it's gonna shine or be its best. And it's not that sort of perfume that you're gonna wear for others. It's something you wear for yourself, for your personal enjoyment, and just to sit down and treat yourself. Now, I did mention that the musk here is animalic. However, I need to emphasize this. The musk here is by no means obnoxiously animalic. No, it's just a slight hint of animalic at the opening, and it's not even bad at all. It's actually very intriguing. It gets you closer to the scent to take more of a whiff at it again, because your brain goes, whoa, wait a second, what is this? Okay? And you want to take another sniff. However, by the time you go in to take the second sniff, that animalic note is gone. So it's very subtle, it's very understated, very undertoned. You will not feel turned off or grossed out by any animalic note. Not at all. Not by any stretch of the imagination. Now, in terms of performance, it's a bit hard to judge performance from this. Like I said, this is a swipe sampler for a pure perfume that's more liquid. So the swipe stick doesn't really grab a lot, so I can't offer a very direct feedback on my experience with this in that sense of things. However, I have enough Ensar Ouds to generally speaking conclude and affirm that, as per typical Ensar Oud, on my skin with my own chemistry, they tend not to be beast mode. Okay, my skin eats these oils up so quickly, and that's not a bad thing. I like it, I enjoy it, and I'm okay with that. But if you're gonna buy something like this, again, you're not buying it for attention grabbing, you're not buying to impress people, you're not buying it for people to give you compliments. This is for your own personal enjoyment on your own time, when you're relaxing, when you're away from life's responsibilities, when you're trying to meditate or pray, or even, you know what? This is perfect for having a tea ceremony. So if you're having a Tibetan tea, okay, with yak milk, or if you're having a Japanese tea ceremony with your special expensive matcha, you know, on a nice relaxing day, you're sitting down, grabbing your tea and taking swaps or sprays in this case, because if you buy a full bottle, it is sprayable. You just sit and relax, all right? Now, in terms of seasonality, I'm gonna say this is easy to wear any season just because of how understated it is. However, I will say that because of the musky, castoreum, sandalwood facets in it, as well as the peppers, the spices, the tea, this is gonna be more cold weather leaning, okay? So think, you know, early spring, fall, and winter, okay? And this is where this perfume is gonna really shine. In terms of time of day, I think you'd be happy wearing this morning, afternoon, or evening. I don't think this one is, you know, very specific in terms of timing. You can enjoy it any time of the day. With that said, what is the conclusion on Ensar Oud EO2 Tibet? I would say if you have gotten your nose before on Tibetan musk, you like understated animalic notes like musk, castoreum, and then, well, musk and castoreum mainly here, and you're into peppery, tea heavy, spice heavy perfume, this is perfect for you. If you have exposure to Ensar Oud's perfumes, and then you already know what you're getting into it. This is his basic DNA here, which you're gonna see across the board in a lot of his perfumes, and you can't go wrong with this. And this one is more budget friendly compared to some of his other offerings, and I believe he does sell these in sampler bottles now, as well as the 15 mil, 30 mil, and 50 mil. Don't quote me on that, but I think it is there just because I was checking the website a few days ago. And yeah, it's honestly, get the sampler. He does offer samples now, so you don't need to blind buy and put a lot of cash up front and end up regretting it, because his stuff is really expensive. So it's good that he's finally putting out samples. I think that's a very good move. Allows people to test what they're buying before getting involved with it and really get to appreciate. And his samplers, even though they're not a lot when you look at the pictures online and just the amount, you got to recognize that all of this is heavy essential oils, okay? And very resinous materials. So actually a little bit goes a long way. So don't be put off by the amount that you're buying, because you're actually getting a lot more than you think. So there's the samplers. Get your nose on him, get your wallet on him, and if you like them, by all means go ahead and procure yourself a bottle. I highly recommend getting this as a full bottle. I do thoroughly enjoy this one, and I possibly will look into getting a bottle. The reason I'm on the fence about getting one is because I already have so many Ensars with Tibetan musk in them, and they more or less smell the same. So that includes Private Blend. I have the Tibetan musk, which is the Perfume, and I have a few other ones. I can't remember all of them, but they have Tibetan musk in them. Okay, so this is super nice if you've never smelt Tibetan musk from Ensar's line and you want to break into the Tibetan musk line from his collection. By all means, jump on this. However, if you have a few Tibetan musks, I ain't gonna sit here and lie to you guys. It's more or less the same thing, okay? You're still gonna get the gist of what the perfume is if you already have the Tibetan musk already available in some of your other formulations for those of you that are into Ensar Oud. But nonetheless, fantastic formulation, gorgeous composition and scent, and highly, highly recommend it if you're into what I've mentioned. With that said, I'm gonna cut it here, guys. As per usual, really appreciate your time and attention, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.